Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the Cincinnati Bengals. This show and every show is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, if you found the show on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm up to 519 subscribers. Let's try to keep that rolling, get to 600 as fast as we can. All right, today's a kind of unusual day today. I'm going to have a co-host, one of my buddies. His name is Billy Roll. Welcome to the show, Billy.
How you doing, man?
Good. Now, me and Billy, we like to, we both are very passionate sports fans and both huge Bengals fans. Unfortunately, he likes Xavier. I have no idea why, and Ohio State, so those two we kind of differ on. But we both are very excited about the Bengals draft and the upcoming season. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good draft. I'm a little disappointed about the lack of offensive line.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I thought that's probably where they kind of failed, given the fact that you got the new quarterback. But other than that, it looks pretty solid.
Yeah, I said in the other shows, me talked about it. Hopefully, Fred Johnson is legit, and he can be the right tackle that we need, and that's the reason we didn't draft Jones from Houston, and we drafted Logan Wilson, the linebacker.
For sure. Yeah, they needed linebackers pretty bad.
All bad,
and the value they got with Wilson was huge. So I didn't have a problem with that. My kind of discussion that I got in with you and other people is they chose to forgo getting an offensive lineman in the 4th and 5th round. And it wasn't at the 6th round they got the guy out of Kansas.
Yeah. I think it was 6th round.
They waited that long, and I thought that was too long, and that was my only thing I had against the draft. But other than that, I thought the talent level. I mean, when you're 2-14, you got to start somewhere. You're not going to go 14 and 2.
You're 2-14. You got too many holes as it is.
Right. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. But unfortunately, when you have their offensive line, it's like buying a Porsche with no car insurance. You got to get that insurance.
Right.
You got to get it. So
right. And
hopefully they know something we don't. I don't know. So.
Yeah, one thing I brought up in the show yesterday was actually one of my people who comment on my show on YouTube, he brought it up, and it actually makes sense. LSU didn't have a single first-round draft pick on that offensive line. So it was a good offensive line, not a great one. So, honestly, Joe Burrow has been able to work with okay offensive lines, So, hopefully, the Bengals' offensive line this year is as at least as good as LSU's was last year, and Burrow can make it happen with that.
Yeah, they didn't have any elite offensive linemen like NFL type players, but they were rated number 1 in college football. Their offensive line was very good for college.
Yeah.
They even won an award, I think it was, for best I don't know how they determined that or whatever.
Yeah.
But they came up with that. They had a lot of good players. They didn't have that elite like Jonah Williams or who's the guy who got drafted from Alabama this year, went to Cleveland. I can't remember his name, but those really, they didn't have any elite players, but they had a pretty good one. But
our offensive line, if Williams is healthy, you got Hopkins at center, and if Johnson could be your right tackle, Surflow at a guard, maybe Michael Jordan at the other guard, or Billy Price. I don't know. That's Jordan is a little, we don't know. He showed flashes, but he was a rookie. Yeah.
Johnson, I like his potential to be something. Obviously, the Steelers had him on their team for some reason. They know what they're doing at the offensive line.
Right, and how great would it be if he?
That works out.
How great would it be if he turns out to be really good and we stole him from them?
Yeah,
that would be awesome. I hate the Squealers. Anyway, stupid Squealers.
Unfortunately, in this city, there's a lot of Steeler fans. So let's change that.
Yeah, I don't get. I mean, well, Well, okay. If you're going to grow up in the city, I understand the Bengals have been hard to root for, but why the Steelers? Pick another team. Indianapolis they had Peyton Manning. They're closer to Pittsburgh. I hate that. I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, oh, I'm a Steelers fan. Did you grow up in Pittsburgh? No, then get out of here.
There's a lot of people at my work who are Steeler fans, and through the football year, they'll wear different stuff. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah. Well, we know they're weird.
They should be hospitalized.
Right. They've got the pandemic.
Yeah, they had the corona before everybody else had the corona.
Right. So I will get to something that you and me were talking about last night. The difference between Zach Taylor and Marvin Lewis, and like you brought up last night, Marvin Lewis, when he first took over, brought 3 key players in to set the culture of what he wanted, and I think that Zach Taylor is doing the same thing this year. Last year, I think Taylor just was. He just came in so late, you know. I know he had his whole coaching staff and everything, but I just think it was just a late start because he was in the Super Bowl last year or the year before that. So I think he's doing a better job of getting his stamp on the team. And I just the comparison of how Marvin came in and how Zach's coming in now.
Yeah, it's very comparable. Marvin, I'm pretty sure I got this right. He got hired January 15th, 2003.
I know it's 2003.
Zach Taylor, where Zach Taylor came in was after the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah,
so it's probably like middle February, whatever. Yeah. So that's a big time head start.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of not just head coaches being hired, but these coaches that got hired from other teams. They're nabbing all the assistants too.
Right.
So he gets a huge late start on that, free agency, the draft. All of a sudden, he's like, okay, now I'm with the Bengals. It's tremendously huge. It kind of reminds me that people bang on Joe Burrow for his junior year. Like, he got there and got there in like August, I want to say.
Yeah, he got there late, yeah.
He got a tremendously late start.
Right.
And a story I heard from like an LSU player is he was going out there and he was calling the receivers by their numbers because he didn't even know their names yet.
Right.
And we're banging on a guy who got there like, okay, he didn't produce like you wanted to, but that's hard to do.
Well, and it's not like he had a terrible year his junior year. He had a fairly decent year, not compared to his senior year. It's not even close. But I mean, it was still he wasn't garbage his junior year. He was good. He's a good quarterback.
And the one thing people need to take into account when they're looking at Joe Burrow is that team was a running team for how long?
Oh yeah.
And he changed it almost instantly. Now it's a passing team.
Right. Well, how many times have people said, you know, if LSU, they got all this talent and everything, if they just had a quarterback, you know, that's one thing they're always missing is a quarterback, and they never can get one. Well, they got one last year.
Even when they go back as far as like Jamarcus Russell, he never made him that elite kind of passing where they, you know.
Right.
I know they just never. It just didn't seem the same as when Joe Burrow.
Oh no, the offense they ran last year, was unlike anything LSU's ever done. I mean, it was NFL spread them out offense. I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, going back to the Marvin Lewis, Zach Taylor. The one thing that I'm pretty sure never happened is Marvin Lewis. I don't think adapted like Carson Palmer plays that he ran at USC that makes him feel comfortable, stuff that might work with him. Because every quarterback's different. It's huge dividends that's been paid in Baltimore with Jackson over there, where they brought some of his plays over from Louisville. Like, what do you like to do? Well, and, you know, Zach Taylor's doing that apparently in here with Joe Burrow, and that's huge.
Well, I mean, we were talking about this last night. Marvin Lewis never adjusted at all. That was one of the things. Everybody always had to adjust to him. I mean, he never got, like we talked about last night, he never got good at clock management. They never put a freaking game clock in the practice facility, which blows my mind. It's just stupid to not do that. And then, I mean, that's what really drove me nuts about Marvin toward the end is he just kept saying, we got to do better. We got to do better. I was like, well, yeah, but you got to do better. And you're not doing anything. You're just doing the same stuff. What you're doing isn't working. You got to change it. And like you said, trying to bring plays in that Carson ran at USC or something, would have made a little bit more sense than trying to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's not working. That's called insanity.
And Carson's talent was amazing.
Yeah.
I will never deny that. I loved Carson at one point. A lot of people get on him for the quit. I'm not as hard on him as that. I wish he wouldn't have done it, but I kind of understand his point of view.
All right.
But Joe Burrow's leadership compared to Carson is just not even close, in my opinion. I think I don't ever think was a leader.
No, I think
he was a player, not a leader.
Yeah, I think Burrow's got more of a take charge personality.
Right.
When you had back when Marvin was running it, and we had Chad Johnson and T.J. Houshmandzadeh and Carson, the biggest personality on that team, and the one who had the loudest voice was Chad. I mean, Carson really wasn't. He's not a big talker, right, that I've ever seen. He's not a big follow me. And that's kind of what the quarterback has got to be sometimes, and that's where I think he got in trouble with Chad, because Chad would just go overboard, and nobody could ever rein him in. Marvin couldn't rein him in. Carson couldn't rein him in, and I really do think that was a big problem that we had in that team, because there wasn't the guys who, it's your head coach and quarterback should be your number one and number two guys, and everybody should be following them, not the wide receiver. Right. And yeah, so I totally agree with you on that. And I mean, Carson was a very good, very talented quarterback, but I've talked to you about this before, where people always say that it was his knee, and ever since that, he wasn't as good. But I keep saying it was his shoulder that he hurt in Cleveland, that he never got surgery on. He just rehabbed it. And that was the year that Fitzpatrick took over, and he was our quarterback for the last, 5 or 6 games of the year. And the Cards came back the next year, and he wasn't as accurate. He just wasn't.
Yeah, he seemed to, and I know football's a tough sport, especially at that time compared to now. Mentally, he just didn't seem like he was up for it.
Yeah.
When he hurt his knee, he was very jumpy. I remember it happened to Brady, and he was a little jumpy at first, but as the season went along, I mean, he always had a pretty good offensive line.
Who you thought, Carson or Brady?
Both.
Oh,
Carson Palmer did too, so there was no reason not to trust. It was one play.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the guy, Kimo Von Olhoffen, who hurt him in the playoff, it happened, I think, I want to say it was against Eric Steinbach, who was a very good guard. It was just one play and one thing happened. And
right.
Yeah, if you don't trust your guys,
you have to.
I mean, that's what made, going off subject, that's what made Michael Jordan better when he started winning championships, when he started trusting his own guys.
Oh, yeah.
Even Jordan has to trust his own guys.
Yeah, you can't do it alone. I mean, you can be the greatest player ever, but if you don't have a team or guys that you trust, it won't matter at all. So, what's your... Go ahead.
Yeah, the leadership qualities, I started hitting them. I was listening to, I know your favorite person, Colin Cowherd, and he brought...
Colin Cowhead?
Yeah, him.
Gotta get his name right.
And him and he had some guy on from LSU, and he was just trying to get some, he's talking about the draft before Joe Burrow, and he goes, the one story where I knew how great of a leader Joe Burrow was he just got there, and Ed Orgeron was still in the middle of recruiting him, and I think they just nabbed him.
Right.
And it was somewhere in the middle of August or whatever. He gets to the facility, and the guys are already practicing. That's how late he got there. And he drops his bags, and he gets his shoes and his shorts on, and the guy's like, look, I don't even remember who the guest was telling the story. He goes, what are you doing? He's like, my team's out there running. I'm going out there with them.
There you go.
So he just showed up at the facility, dropped his bags, and decided to go run because the rest of his team was running.
Well,
That's leadership.
Yeah, I posted this story on, I think, Bengals Nation or Sports or Strawberry Ice. Maybe both of them. I don't remember. I didn't get to finish reading the article, but it was something about that Burrow actually stood up for himself and got in a fight at one of the first practices he ever had at LSU. Actually, I think you commented on that. Huh?
I read that, and that's where he got his respect or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you commented something about that. You said you liked a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder or something like that, you said.
Oh, anybody who comes in the league, you can look back in the history of any sport, and anybody who has a chip always got something to prove. Turns out to be great.
Yeah, look at Tom Brady.
Jordan.
Yep.
He had mad chips. I mean, he
would make stuff up. Jordan would make stuff up.
Yeah, sometimes. I finished watching the documentary last night because I was having trouble sleeping, and he was not happy the MVP went to Karl Malone.
Yeah.
I mean, this is at the end of his career, and he's just like, all right, he goes, I had no problem with winning the MVP, but personally, that's your MVP? Well, I'm going to prove that wrong.
Well,
he's just on a mission.
The other one, the year they faced the Supersonics, not George Karl, that was the comedian. Karl, the head coach for the.
Yeah, George Karl.
Is it George Karl? Yeah, George Karl. He was the head coach of the Sonics. Jordan and Ahmad Rashad are eating dinner at the same place that Karl was, and Karl walked past Jordan and didn't even say anything. And Jordan's like, "All right, don't say hi. That's fine." And he used that to go beat him. I'm like, dude, he'd use anything.
If we could go back in time, if I was one of those players, walk on how you doing, sir? How you doing? You looking good today? I would just compliment him left and right, no matter if I believed or not. You're such a great player.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Please don't kick my ass today.
And the one guy who seemed like he did that, asked questions, gave it back to him, and that was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Yeah, he did.
And he would talk to him on the court.
Yeah.
Man.
Yep. Well, that's cool. So, I got a question. What are your thoughts on the free agents the Bengals have done this year? I know we've both talked, and I'm pretty sure you're excited about Reader as much as I am to see him and Atkins next to each other.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game when you basically win outside of your quarterback. You win in the trenches, your offensive line and your defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
That's been that way for as long as football's been around. And the way I look at it, if you can really shore up your defensive line, it's one thing to have Atkins and then a guy next to you is like, okay, then you start double teaming. When you put those two guys together, it makes your ends better. Mm-hmm. It'll actually improve your defensive, your linebackers as well, because then they won't be asked to do as much.
Well, and hopefully you get pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, it'll make them look better, even when, not necessarily that they're great.
Right.
And so even their cornerbacks, they seem to. The thing I liked about the free agency, they seem like they had a plan where they never seemed like they had a plan. They're fitting a scheme or a style. We want cornerbacks who can tackle. We want aggression.
Right.
And then in the draft, they kind of did the same thing. Okay, well, we got Jackson, and he ain't going anywhere. Right. So let's get a fast guy and a guy who can cover. Mm-hmm. Let's get those guys. And
then
I don't think they've seen it in free agency, so they just let it go. And they're like, well, let's see what we get. And that's what they got in free agency. They were all the same type of linebacker.
And the thing is, everybody keeps talking about DJ Reader. The other big free agent that it seems like everybody forgets we signed is Bell, the safety.
Yeah, guilty.
Yeah, I mean, everybody keeps talking about Reader, which I agree, Reader's good, but shoot, Bell is a really good safety that we picked up. So,
where did he go to college at?
Who, Bell?
Yes.
I don't even know. Do you?
I'm pretty sure it was Ohio State, but I'm not sure. Yeah. There was a period of time where I wasn't watching a lot of games.
I figured the way you asked that, I figured that's where he went. I'm like, I don't know. I know your boy Hubbard did, though. Hubbard, who's going to have, I think he'll have a breakout year.
Well, I'll let you say Joe freaking Burrow. I will say the Ohio State University.
Yeah, whatever.
It drives a lot of people crazy. I just say Ohio State, miss. I don't really care.
I like saying, oh, you see.
Yeah, you do that too. And you can't see me. I'm rolling my eyes.
Well, maybe next time we do this, I'll be able to get the computer set up so we can actually have your face on here instead of your cute little picture I got of you.
Yeah, that's something. I'm not photogenic. That's why I'm speaking on here, not looking.
Right, exactly.
I'm the voice of reason, not the look of reason.
Yeah, all they get to do is look at my pretty face. Moneymaker. Just kidding. All right, man.
Have a Zeke of the week then?
Yeah. I was just about to get to that. If you got one, because I already got one written down. You can give me a Zeke of the week if you got one.
I forgot about it. I talked to you earlier in the week. I was like, I'm going to help you come up with one, and then I wake up and like, oh yeah, I was going to think of it. I'm like, you know what? I think I do have one.
All right, what do you got?
Major League Baseball and their stupid rules. I was talking to my wife with this last night, and she's not a sports fan. And I'm like, don't take a shower.
That's the
they want us
stupidest
to wash our hands everywhere, but then leave a baseball field stinky.
Right. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
What?
Well,
that's my Zeke of the week. That's all I got because there's not a lot of sports going on.
Yeah, no. All I got to say is great minds think alike, because my Zeke of the week was going to be owners and players. Basically, I think that the whole stupid rules that we were just talking about for the health concerns, I think it's a shot at the players because the players won't take that 50-50 split. And I don't care. Like I said yesterday, they could not shower for a week. They could all not make any money at all. I don't give a crap. I just want baseball, and they're bickering over stupid crap. So that's why I call the MLB owners and players my Zeke of the week. So we got two of them.
And real quick, I just want to say, this is their time, baseball, to take advantage. I mean, what's more American than...
Yes.
It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but they had a chance to go to 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
How cool would that be to open up baseball? Nothing else in sports is open.
Well,
normally you would have...
They still could. I mean, they got a month. If they do it quick, they still could do it. And I agree with you. They should open up by then. That'd be perfect. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, 4th of July. What's more American than that? So instead of you kind of being bored, like a lot of people get bored by then.
Right.
And that's a little before the All-Star break. Now you're like, wow, this is opening day on 4th of July. I'm grilling out. And it's warm everywhere. Right.
Exactly.
It was like, and my birthday's July 1st. You can't beat that. It's all right there. So.
Well, that's even more of a reason to open them up. Billy's birthday.
All right.
All right, man. I gotta get these Facebook groups out here that I help run. I'll let everybody know about them. I think you're a part of almost all of them. We got Bengals Nation, Reds Country, Bearcats Country, and Cyclones Country. All right, if you guys are listening to us on the podcast, do me a favor, give us a 5-star review. I'm saying us because we got Billy on here today. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm up to 519 subscribers, which is awesome. I'll try to get 600 as fast as we can. So anyway, I'd like to thank Billy for coming on the show with me today, and maybe we'll do it again next Friday. What do you think, Billy?
Oh, not a problem. I enjoyed it.
All right, brother.
Keep up the good work. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, say hi to the family for me.
Will do. All right, that's just sports, baby. See you guys.